Let's switch gears for just a second. This is interesting. The Islamic month of Ramadan starts in a week, and that means a huge boost to the London summer shopping season. Before embarking on a month of fasting, thousands of wealthy Arabs, they've been descending upon London's high street and the retailers like Selfridges and Harrods in the West End. They've been benefiting massively because you've seen an upping in spending, thousands of pounds going into the pockets of these retailers. How much does this influx boost the UK and the London economy? Jace Tyrrell, he's Director of Communications at the New West End Company, the firm that looks after PR for London's Oxford and Regent Streets. And if you haven't been to Oxford or Regent Street, I mean, they're huge. These are huge shopping areas. So just run through kind of some of the main figures for us. How much of a boost this pre-Ramadan era actually leads to for these retailers?
Well, it's a total phenomenon. We've been seeing this for the last sort of 10 years, and you said very busy shopping streets in Europe, sort of 200 million people coming a year, but we have this fantastic boost every time pre-Ramadan. Obviously moves every single year as Ramadan moves every year, and they spend a huge amount. The average spending is, £2,000 per shopping trip. They love all the luxury brands. So they're down Bond Street, they're at Selfridges, it's Vuitton, Gucci, Prada. It's a really good spike for those high-end luxury accessories and jewellery products, and we see continued growth. We're estimating about £220 million in this rush now that we're having. That's going to be up about 5% on last year, and it continues to grow for us. And similarly, we're seeing other international big markets, the Chinese, the South Americans, and obviously the Middle East rush really helping West End retailers.
And the average spend per person in this period, someone was telling me it's something like 15 times more than your average English person spends, basically, in the same time frame.
When you're shopping out there, it's about £130 on a shopping trip for you and I. I think for an American, it's about £550 average transaction. For the Middle East, and this time now, it's about £1,900, nearly £2,000 per shopping transaction. So every time they go shopping. And of course, a lot of them stay here more than a week. They're here for 3, sometimes 4 weeks. And a lot of the families and a lot of the groups come back post-Ramadan as well into Eid.
Yeah, and someone again was telling me that the percentage that these retailers they make, it's something like 80% of their overall income happens in this period as well, or 70%?
Not quite as high as that. I think there's a very big spike, obviously, this time of the year as we go into summer. A lot of full-season products coming through, so it's been a bit tricky for retailers getting their stock right with the Olympics, but obviously Christmas, for us, traditionally, big time for retail in the West End.
Obviously, this is very positive news because the UK consumer is going through a period of deleveraging. He's cutting his spending, he's rebuilding his savings, he's cutting his borrowing. So, relying on the UK consumer is not a good business model at the moment.
Yes.
I think two other factors which are in your favour, at least short term, is that this summer we've got a heat wave in the Middle East, if one can say that.
Quite right.
And beyond the norm.
Yeah, and temperatures are significantly higher than. And I was in the Middle East last time, just a month ago, and I can tell you the temperatures are much higher than they are on average. So that's driving the tourist trade into Europe. A second factor, of course, is if we go back 3 or 4 years, a very large part of the Middle East summer trade, if you want to call it that, they went and spent the summer in Beirut. Well, people aren't going to Beirut now, and in fact a number of the GCC countries are now advising their citizens not to visit Lebanon because they're worried about safety concerns and political fears. So that means they come to London. It's not just London, by the way. You see exactly the same phenomenon in Paris, Geneva, and a number of other European cities.
And I think you're right, that whole idea of safety and welcoming, and I think Britain's done this very well, and London particularly. And of course, a lot of them are sort of residential houses here as well. They come back and stay here, which is obviously very good. I think the interesting thing with Paris, actually, since they sort of banned the burqa a couple of years ago, we have seen an increase in more of the Middle Eastern market coming to London.
It's a very good point.
Because it's seen as even more welcoming as well. So there is a growing trend still on quite a mature market for us in London of that international spend. About 1/3 of our market is international spending in the West End. So thank goodness, as the UK consumer is tightening up, that we've got some international spending driving up the retail sales.
That's my point.
Quite right.
And any indication that the periods that the influx of travellers are here, that is longer this year because of the Olympics? Like, are they tying over kind of pre-Ramadan, post-Ramadan and Olympics and just staying in one big block, or we don't know that yet?
There is a bit of that, actually. I mean, some of them are going back, obviously, but there's quite a few staying through the period, obviously, and we think a big lift sort of mid-August. So thank goodness we have the Olympics. We've got a boom of sort of big spenders here, and then straight after that, 16th of August almost, 2 days after Heathrow's packed with everyone leaving, they'll be back again pre-Eid and spending. So I think good news for London retailers this summer.
I don't want to stir up a tired debate, but all my friends in the Middle East love coming to London, but they have one complaint.
What's that?
Passport control queues at Heathrow.
Goodness,
everybody.
Don't get me started.
As I say, it's a tired debate, but it's a real sore issue for our foreign visitors.
Just put more people in place. You know, it makes no sense to have one person checking passports, right? And I go.
Sorry for raising it, but
you know, they're supposed to be able to recognize your eye.
I go through Heathrow 2 or 3 times a week, and you know, the queues are just an embarrassment.
Longer and longer. It is. Totally agree.
Maybe they just want to talk to you, Bob. You know,
I get through quickly.
Jace, thank you very much. Jace Tyrrell, Director of Communications from New West End Company. And Bob, thank you to you as well. Bob Parker, Senior Advisor from Credit Suisse. Always a pleasure.